not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm messing with my sound there a little bit. I want to get rid of that. I'm trying to fix I didn't have things set up correctly. Anyways, it's Thursday. We got jobless numbers here, but the market is going a little screwy, I think, because Joe Biden has released a budget. At least that's all I can see on Twitter here is Biden to propose $6 trillion budget. Okay, who cares? It's not like a Congress is going to pass a budget. You know, they haven't done it in forever. I don't think that they're going to start today, but I digress. So what do we got going on in the markets? Let's go to the charts. Let me start the text-to-speech here while we're doing this. So in the ES yesterday, a little bit of a range-bound day. It was a little bit of selling. They kind of came back up a little bit. It was kind of both ways. I actually was looking back and I was like, oh, I did not too bad. Okay, but then overnight a little bit down. This little spike on, stimulus here. Treasuries taking a plunge off of that. Pretty ugly plunge off of that. Oil stable. I'm thinking here, well, okay, gold and silver haven't moved yet. Copper up a little bit overnight. That must be something to do with China, though. The dollar. So the dollar had a little bit of a rise yesterday, and we're back up into the 90 area. But I'm thinking that this stimulus thing would probably hurt the dollar. So for that, has not really moved off of this. Perhaps they're calling the bluff. I don't know. Interesting. Arrest warrant issued for Marilyn Manson in New Hampshire. Oh boy. Boom, boom, boom. Anthony, what's up? I think Super Chat is back. Oh, because it wasn't letting you do it before. Hey, thank you very much, man. Now, you know what? I was thinking. So the other day, I was like getting really frustrated when Zero Hedge blocked me. I'm still a little bitter. And, I was thinking about, hey, like, let's make a mid-week video about Bitcoin. And I actually started recording it, and I was like, I think I got some good stuff in here, but I didn't post it. I didn't feel like it was thorough enough. And I was thinking of you when I made it. I was like, I think I have a lot of good arguments here about why Bitcoin certainly cannot be a currency, and neither can Ethereum, to be frank with you. So it's kind of funny to see the conversation because all of the rich people, like there's some of these big names now, they'll come on TV and they'll start, oh, okay, I like Bitcoin, and then you get all the free publicity about it, right? And it's kind of funny to watch them go through that process of realizing that it can't be a currency. Okay, it's a store of value. What does that really mean? I wouldn't even call it a store of value. I would call it a speculative asset, right? Okay, so here we're going to get these jobs numbers. We're looking for 425 initial claims. Gonna have to mute that. Okay, so durable goods does not look good. I still not. Oh, okay. So jobless claims 406. Then we're looking for the PCE prices. That's important too. Where was the PCE prices? Okay, I guess not. I shouldn't have done that. I should have only been doing once. Let me blow my nose. Okay. So interesting here, and the dollar rising a little bit. So just going through the number again. Okay, so the GDP came in about in line. Unemployment claims slightly less than expected, which is good. Durable goods was bad, -1.3 versus spot 8. And the GDP price index was 4.3 versus 4.1. Now, remember, tomorrow we get core PCE price index. That's going to be a big deal. Win, good morning. How are you? So anyways, as I was saying about the, you know what? I don't know. The market really cares about all this stuff. I don't know. The jobless claims significant enough? Price index not good. I don't know. Or sorry, not the price index. The what was it again? The durable goods orders. Core durable goods was okay, but durable goods was not. So but that's cars. Okay. So we're okay. We're okay. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters, folks. Nothing matters. The E-mini is going bullish there. We should turn on our robot now. Oh, you know, I was going to change something about him, actually. Oh, I did it. I'd already changed it. Try it. Try it. G7 ministers are close to approving a minimum tax rate. Okay, so we should take a few notes here. So just ground ourselves here in the markets. I can see 6J taking a plunge. Gold is finally starting to run here. Big order there in the E-mini. Decided to back off. And how much did I lose? You know what? That Treasury one, it wasn't too bad. But we will, because of how I did that. Very delayed reaction there by the equity indexes, but thank you for the donations, Anthony. That really helps out. We're gonna so I got a teleprompter coming in today. Hopefully I'll be able to make some more videos. I guess I need to make a video about Bitcoin, but I don't feel so vengeful anymore. I feel like I need to make more videos about just like trying to promote my theory of things instead. But I don't know. It's kind of weird to see these guys go through this whole thing of like, oh, you can't actually use it as a currency. The blockchain is slow and doesn't really work and all that jazz, right? And then they're saying, oh, well, but Ethereum could be a medium of exchange. They have the block size problem too. So what you gonna do? Not to mention, when is the Ethereum proof of stake thing supposed to happen? Date. Yeah, proof of stake date. It doesn't look like it actually has a set date anymore, does it? You say around the end of the year? Yeah, it doesn't look like a hard date has been set yet because it's not like been approved or anything like that. I could scratch that one. Come on, 30-year. Yeah, that's not what you want. So some flattening coming in here. You know what? I probably shouldn't be doing it over here. Probably shouldn't be doing it. I should probably just be rolling. Yeah? So a lot of other things do roll today. Cool. Scratch. Of course, the E-mini doesn't roll, but... So now we move over to September. Matic looks pretty good as a layer 2. I don't understand the layer 2 thing, to be honest with you. Why, if you have a layer 2, why not just use the layer 2 thing then? Why do you need this back layer, right? It sounds like a fix to try and avoid admitting that the blockchain doesn't work. It's like a pride thing. It's like, yeah, you could build this whole second layer thing and all of this technology on top of it and do all these things. Or you could just increase the block size and be done with it. Because Bitcoin Cash works just fine, folks. They haven't had any problems with it. But see, that's where I was getting at the thing is like, okay, so I come in and I can say, okay, it uses too much power. So what are all of the issues with the power issue? Well, people will say, yes, but all of these other things use a lot of power too. Yes, but there's not like a cheap and easy alternative to it that you could implement today that uses less power. Like, you realize that if everybody just gave up on Bitcoin, they decided that Bitcoin was worthless, okay, and they all moved over to Ethereum staking today, that would be energy the size of Switzerland suddenly available to us. You know? You know what? I took this trade over here in the E-mini and it's not working out. And I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try and let it go, but I feel like that a buy up to 4,200 is appropriate here, but it's not. I probably should wait until the open to be doing some of these trades. Anyways, what I'm just saying, like, there's all of these arguments that people will make about it. Oh, well, Netflix uses a lot of power. It's not. Yes, but there's no other way to do it, you know? And when I started to game out, like, okay, how you answer every single one of those questions, it's like too long of a video. Wolf of Kashmir looking strong. That guy is like second richest man in the world now, right? That one. It's always weird to me when those people get up there. How it's like all of a sudden it's like I never heard of him before, and then all of a sudden they're the richest person in the world. Like, what? Okay. They ticked down. What's your P&L this year? Oh, so I think, you know, it kind of depends on what you're interested in, right? So if you're just interested in how much I've made off of markets overall this year, it's a few thousand. But basically what I've done is I've said that there's not a whole lot of reason to be putting a lot of risk on in the short-term trading thing. So I've been doing the short-term trading on Sim, and I've just made money off of my stocks. Yeah. And the money that I made off of my stocks, it was really, above the market average. Now that the sumo logic has come down, I'm probably right in line with the, oh my God, seriously? I got screwed big time on that one, huh? Now it's probably more in line with what the Russell gain for the year is, right? But if you're more interested in like how well does the scalping do, then it kind of also, depends on a bunch of other things. Like this, what I'm doing over here in the Treasuries at times has done well, but it's still experimental, so I wouldn't factor that one in, right? When I go over into the E-mini, it's been pretty good. I think net, it was like 1,500. But it's sim trades, and every once in a while I'll have a sim trade day where I'll put a ton of size on that I wouldn't put on if it was a live account in general, right? So you should post your tutorial videos on AIOZ network. I've never heard of that. I feel like I'm already too many places, man. Blockchain-based content delivery-based network? Is it new? You know what's something that really drives me crazy about blockchain, about the cryptocurrency industry, is that the new things are always the ones that get the attention. So like, Siacoin, for instance. Siacoin's a great example. I mean, it's not like Siacoin's not doing, it's doing okay, but it's not doing amazing. It's probably not doing as amazing as, how much effort has gone into that network and the things that it can do and so on and so forth, right? And instead, people go and they select the coin that is like brand new and just out. And I think that the reason that is because the people that are like the movers and shakers and stuff, they want to get in, they want like the big money, It's like if I can go in and I can get a part of like the initial pie, like you start a project and a certain amount of it gets mined out for the development and all of that sort of stuff, If you can get in on that, it's way better. Whereas for something like Siacoin, like that's already established, I'm sure you could buy into it, but you're not going to make as much, And so the old coins, the only old coin that really has truly gotten like the full attention that it probably deserves is Dogecoin, ironically enough, right? But everything else, it's like, okay, so meme coins, another great example. So here you got meme coins going off. So then why wouldn't some of the other established meme coins go off as well? Like garlic coin. Oh, well, because it's just like a big, huge scam. So instead you go and you make a new coin and you sell it to the masses and they all buy into it. And then that's where you get like, these Safe Moon and things like that. So here I'm seeing all sorts of coins in two spaces in particular that seem to have interesting blockchain implications. One is in like file and video storage, and the other is in like social networking. So like, remember Steemit, right? I mean, that's still around, but then there's been other newer social networks introduced too. It's like, why, when Steemit exists, works just fine. Why wouldn't you just, you know what I mean? Obviously, they're doing it because they think they can make more money. And when you put on it in that perspective, it's like, well, then why should I invest in any of that? Why is that particular project going to take off? Because more likely what I think would happen is I put a bunch of effort into it. It'll seem like it's doing really well now, and then when the cycle ends, everybody will forget about it. And more to the point, because everybody says, oh, you just need to hodl. Well, in 2017, I had a pretty decent portfolio, about $1,000 worth portfolio. And I sold out because my model said to sell. And so I made a good 1,200, something like that. And then I had like my Blockfolio account or whatever. And I didn't update the Blockfolio account so that I could see what it would have been. And it's still like 200. Like it would still be down almost like 60% or something like that. 60, 80%. Because those altcoins don't necessarily pop off. Event Sucker saying something smells weird. Well, Events, the thing that I'm trying to get across to you is that you shouldn't necessarily try and trade the way that I'm trading on stream. Yeah. There's lots of things that you can learn, but you're more likely than not to lose money doing the short-term trading on futures. And it's very difficult. And at the current time, I do not think for me that risk is worth taking. If in a slightly different market, I'd be more into it. Man, the treasuries. I guess I'm just taking a bad trade here, man. Because they have screwed me over now 3 times. I got 1. But then that's 2, now that's 3. Well, actually, -2. So -1, 1, 0, -1, -2. Even though the ZB is down, huh? The thing that I'm trying to get across to you is that we should remember to take a quick second to hit the like button. There you go. You can do poll questions from the desk now? Oh, I can. But what would I agree to poll about? Well, while I think about it, and when we come across a thing and we can do a poll, we'll do it, right? To use? No, we need to do it. We need to do a poll question that's pertinent to something that's happening like right now, you know? Hmm. The problem seems to be wanting to go short, huh? I guess the market believes that it's already too short. They tried to do a level break there, but it didn't go. See, there was the absorption at 24.5 and they pulled 25, but nobody bought off of that. You gotta be kidding me. I may just give up on the treasuries here for today because they're not having much luck over there. Like, I think I'm catching some spots where they need to come back in line, but then they just push it through my stop and then come back. Bloomberg is running podcast series on TikTok, and it began with a Chinese guy studying American teens and how it redefined our definition of it's like that. So, well, I think what they're getting at is on TikTok, there's this user named Charlie D'Amelio, I believe is her name, that is bizarrely popular. So, like, when you go and you watch her channel, there's nothing unusual about it. It's just another girl. It's just another teenage girl. But she's like ridiculously famous, and she can make like $1 million off of a TikTok, off of a sponsored TikTok. It's crazy, right? So a lot of people in the media are like, "Oh, this is what fame is now." But having been in the social media rink for a long time, as long as you can be in it, I think that what you'll see is people will forget about her. So now there's another girl. What is her name? Bella Porch or something like that. And they took her and they're basically making her like a music star. She might have some lasting power. You underestimate the power of dumb teenagers with their parents? No, I don't. I think I estimate them perfectly well because I've watched like you guys don't remember the Vine thing? You guys realize how many people when we got on the Vine train, got famous on Vine, and then it's not Belle Delphine. No, that's someone else. Bella Porch. It's like an Asian girl. And her thing is just that she has she does the face zoom cam and then she does weird faces. That one. That was actually entertaining. I enjoyed those videos. Charlie D'Amelio, I don't get why she's famous at all. Belle Delphine is another thing though, because I don't think that she got famous off of TikTok per se, but I could be wrong. But like everybody copies her. All the girls copy her. She does weird faces too. It's different. She does the Ahiago face, yes. If you watch enough TikToks, the stuff gets boring. It's right. Oh man, like I tell you what. I have at least 6 friends here on YouTube who make amazing music. Getting noticed is more like hitting the lottery. You need the lottery effect to get noticed. And no, yeah, I don't agree with that at all, Win. So, yeah, like anything, the amount, like your success, how many views a video gets is a stochastic variable in which there's a large degree of randomness involved in it. Okay. But the correlation with a really good engaging video getting a lot of attention from the algorithm is very, very strong. So if you are making YouTube content and you do so consistently, you make a video every week for years and you actually do make good content, the algorithm will eventually send people your way. It's pretty hard to be doing that and be making good content and not get at least 1,000 viewers. No joke. Some talk about infrastructure bill. Anyways, the issue that a channel like that will run into is, why do people want to continue watching you, right? What is it that you're going to do that somebody's going to watch every day? Like if I'm posting like music every day, I mean, maybe if it's like really, really great music, but most people don't do that. For my channel, why do people do that every day? Well, because they trade every day and they want to, I want to have somebody to trade with. But even for me, there's a good, the general populace, how many of them gonna really want to view every one of my videos? Not very many, right? It's a very niche audience for me. So what a lot of people will run into is you're going to have a video that does well. You're going to have a video that does well, but then it won't translate into anything. Like you'll be working for that one hit wonder, that one video that goes kind of viral and like really boosts the channel, sort of a thing. And what will happen is you'll get the attention and it won't really boost things all that much. Right. Whereas if you get something that's kind of more long term, like for instance, I have a video about building a computer a trading desktop, right? That has a longevity, like because every trader can pull something out of that, and there's good search traffic for it, and that video ranks really high in for that search traffic now. Yeah. So when you're making videos, really the way that you should look at it is, how can I show up in search results, right? And if you are doing music, that's super hard, right? You're not going to come up in very many search results when you're doing music, unless it's like a remix of a popular song, you know? So that's probably why they feel that way. It's not like, you know, hitting the lottery. It's about having the right content. What was the title again? Oh yeah, what is it called? Trading Computer Hardware, What Matters? That's like the most successful video on the channel. And that's where a lot of our viewers come from. I should probably make a video like comparing all of the desktop trading applications, but music is so cheap nowadays. Just look at how much Spotify pays artists. Well, oh man, I'm so fucking frustrated by the Treasury here, man. I feel like it is watching me and specifically screwing me over because I had it right and they stopped me out like multiple times, and then when I decided to back off, then it went. It's like, how can it be specifically against you every time? And when it's a sim order too, it's like, what the fuck? Host Eric has 6K worth of videos and he still has this. Well, yeah, but again, why would people come across his videos in a YouTube search, right? HF says a small number of players. I don't know. I feel like that there's a significant amount of reason for there to be trading going on right now. I see significant reasons for there to be trade right now, and the treasuries aren't really doing it, are they? Well, part of it is probably because of the roll, but I feel like the Biden, you know, if the E-mini is going to pop off 20 points off of Biden's infrastructure plan, that the treasury should move too. Well, they moved down, but I don't understand why they're not still moving around. But they seem to be playing games here. Can't match orders, so he screws both ends. Yeah, I must just not have enough. So like in this particular situation, for instance, I went down on a 23.5. I mean, the trend was down, and there is some stuff going on in the spread. Like the ZB has kind of been pulling them down, right? But it's apparently not enough to even get a tick in the 10-year. Maybe if I was doing it in the 30-year, I might have gotten it. I have not heard the robots. Are they awake? Yeah. In fact, one of them took a trade and lost money. Oh, you know what, though? He might have... Oh, no, he should have been okay. Ow, why did you go short there, bro? I don't know about this. So the thing that frustrates me with my robot right now, when I did it before, it was trying to take them in exactly the spot that I wanted them to be taking stuff. Now, it'll take trades that seem really bizarre to me. But it tends to win anyways. And so I kind of suspect that it's just random. They are self-learning. Well, no. I mean, I probably, the book filters probably helps a lot on the trade, but they don't really pick the best spots like they should. Okay, I finally got filled in the E-mini. The one that matters worked out okay. I don't know why I'm getting frustrated so much in the treasuries. It's going to be a long time before if I'm ever going to do this thing in the treasuries. In fact, this thing that I'm doing over here, I don't think that I could. I think that I would need significant changes to be able to trade it live. I'm just not sure what the changes are that I need to make. How you game that out? Back up to the high. $4.20 SPY had high. Yeah, that's exactly why I took my profits at 42. Because I said, this looks like it wants to run, but I don't know how much you can get it to run above 4,200, so. Okay. Mako. Oh, so this Mako 725 in Discord. I thought he was somebody else. The treasury is not moving as far versus ES. I mean, they definitely moved. So one thing is that the market's moving off of this Biden thing, and they were moving before that. So it kind of seems like that the word had already gotten out and that they knew it was coming. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to work out how much the treasury should have moved off of it. It just know that down here at the bottom, it's kind of like the book can't move much further, right? Like, I believe it's doing this thing not because they think that they're fairly priced here, but because the book is just literally not strong enough to move much lower. And especially because we got the roll going on, they seem to be having some difficulty with it. The Republicans are holding a news conference on the infrastructure now? Okay, well, we haven't talked about that, really. So there were some headlines about that today, okay, right? In addition to Joe Biden proposing a $6 trillion budget that includes a lot of infrastructure stuff, they're still working on an infrastructure bill. They presented it to Biden once. It didn't sound like that they made an agreement and that they're going to try making counteroffers and so forth. And they are willing to allow it to go past Memorial Day. Not surprised, but I think it is still at the place where they are extremely unlikely to do it. They are extremely unlikely to do it because as much Republicans are totally on board with doing infrastructure, but they're not totally on board with doing infrastructure, meaning giving solar projects, a blank check sort of a thing. They're not going to go for this Solyndra thing again. No way. So unless more of it is put towards like roads and bridges, they're not going to make a deal. And it doesn't sound like the Biden administration is really interested in changing that. So the same thing here with their budget. It's like, okay, so they have a lot of stuff for infrastructure in the budget. Why isn't that just in the infrastructure bill, right? I don't think they're going to do anything. It's time the politicians began spending money on us and not working. I don't know, man. I think that the politicians spent too much money on me, to be frank. I don't think that the problem is like this investment thing. There's this huge long narrative that dates all the way back to the Iraq War and really before that, but I think that it was in the Iraq War where it really became a mainstream argument and it became like the primary thing that Democrats push. Something that I'm finding is happening a lot these days is that the world will change and the Democrats' arguments don't change with it. A better argument here would be housing. So Democrats are like, oh, there's plenty of housing. You guys are just charging too much for it. That's total nonsense. So then they'll cite all of these statistics like, oh, there's X million homes that are unfilled. But what you have to realize about that is that there is a natural inventory churn in the market, and that is like the natural inventory that's going to be in the market. So it's not like these are houses that are sitting for years not being used. That's not the way that it works, right? And there was maybe an argument to be had after 2008 about there being a lot of houses not being used, sure. But it's not the case anymore. The case now is that it's very, very difficult to find houses and that people are paying up big time because they desperately want to get into houses now. They've been waiting their whole lives and haven't been able to get it. And now is like the one opportunity they think that they can to get into it. And so it's going up. And Democrats are not adjusting to this new reality that housing is really expensive right now. They're still making old arguments, right? And so it is the same with our budget. So was there money spent on the Iraq war that shouldn't have been? Yeah. But you know what? Like, we kind of ended those conflicts. And the thing on the military side now is that we have new threats coming, like from China, for instance. And if we were to gut military spending, then China would just continue to lap us, and then we wouldn't even have that strong military answer either. And then what? Then what are you going to do? Like, that's a big problem. So you can't just gut the military, right? And they gave us all checks, which most of the people that got checks didn't really actually need. And I think that the way in which it was spent and what you can see in the numbers in the economy prove that out. You know, average loan length is 2 to 3 years for homes. Is it really? I'm surprised. I thought it should be more like 10. Anyways, so it really, this thing that like the politicians aren't spending the money on us, I don't think that that's an argument that really matches up with the current realities and needs of the United States. Instead, I think the argument should be that we have strong infrastructure needs in the United States, that we built a lot of this stuff in, you know, the 50s or whatever, and it needs to be upgraded, and they're not putting the money on it, right? That's the argument that has to be made. And why aren't you seeing that argument right now? Because the Biden administration doesn't actually want to spend it on that kind of infrastructure, right? The Biden administration wants to spend it on some sort of green energy revolution, which again here just doesn't match up with the way that markets work, guys. Okay, markets seek out and arbitrage away inefficiencies. Okay, if there was a technology that was more effective, cheaper, more useful, etc., then the market would shift towards that direction, right? Why aren't they shifting towards that direction? Because the technology that they're talking about isn't that good. Okay, they cannot supply our energy needs with wind and solar. You cannot, period. Okay. Germany tried it, and they are actually burning more carbon fuels than they did before, because those energy sources don't supply their needs. Now, luckily, the Biden administration is saying that is okay with like is being okay with nuclear. Right. Because the Green Revolution is about Western liberal democracies being the carbon offsets to perpetuate cheap exports from China. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. This whole the Green New Deal thing is like, yeah, you know what? If you want to solve the climate problem right now, go talk to China, because they're the ones creating it all. Hard truths. Climate change is real despite rebranding. Might as well give the test drives a chance. No, because you know what's Susie saying? China ain't going to be banning plastic straws anytime soon. They'll just keep dumping them in the ocean. There's an issue here. There's a little paradox here that I don't think our liberal friends can answer, because they don't really think these things through from a business perspective, right? So if you need the government to come in and make an investment because the free market isn't doing that investment on its own, okay? Because remember, the free market looks for growth opportunities. It arbitrages market inefficiencies away. So if there was a technology out there that was good and was a suitable replacement, they would be investing in it. And in fact, they are investing in some. Clean energy is doing well, although I think it's largely because they expect government subsidies coming from it, okay? So if you need the government to do it, why is that? If you need the government to do it, it's because it's not very good. It's straight up. If it's really the way to go, if it's really the future, then the market it will do it on its own. And if the market doesn't do it on its own, then what that really means is that it's just not cost efficient, right? And that is the case with wind and solar. It's straight up. It's just not cost efficient. We do not have the technology to store this energy. That kind of energy is not available all of the time, and it is not a sufficient replacement for our energy needs. Okay, nuclear would be. And hey, what do you know? What the private market is actually like developing this nuclear technology and is making nuclear technology that I think would be a suitable replacement. You know what I mean? A good case for that is SpaceX. Oh yeah, totally. It's like there is enough need for, being able to put satellites in space and so forth that companies can exist to fill that need on their own, and they don't actually need, I don't think they think about it that far. I think that they just say, what can we ourselves do to help the environment the most? And then we should go and do that. It's just that the problem here again is that they don't think it all the way through, right? They don't go and say, oh, okay, but these energy sources aren't very effective. And that's why China's not using them. Right. So what is happening here? They want to spend all of our money on something that we know is not efficient, right? And meanwhile, there are things in the United States that are languishing. Things that if the federal government got out of the way, the free market would probably do on its own. Like these bridges and stuff, I bet you that if you didn't have to get approval from the government, that businesses would be going and saying, oh, hey, we'll do it for you. We'll buy the bridge from you and we'll just run the bridge and you can pay us a toll for the bridge. Like, straight up, they would do it. With roads, straight up, they would do it. I mean, they do it already a lot with roads. But you can't make new roads like that, right? Not in Florida, nothing gets built without FDOT involved. Yeah, exactly. We'll be paying carbon taxes, but you'll still need to wear a gas mask to go outside in major Chinese cities. Yeah, I mean the other issue here is that the left. What the hell? I think I should have gotten filled there, but whatever. Lost my train of thought. I feel like that my brain is a little bit scrambled today. I'm having a hard time. Jim Cramer says now's the time to buy Tesla. Wow, okay. My brother works for Tetra Tech. They do government contracted disaster management. What they charge the government simply because they can get away with it is absolutely insane. Oh yeah, totally, yeah. Well, and that happens in the military even more. Like they're giving these military contractors like just basically free money. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't think that anybody should come out of this saying like the private business will always do things better. Okay, like businesses and governments really need to work together. Okay, and it's very difficult to find balance for that because they need to work together. But usually, what that ends up being is just corruption. Okay, but you need governments to be able to organize people at really high levels. Okay, so that's where you're not going to get. It's very unlikely that the private market is going to create a national highway system, for instance, right? Okay, but you also there are some things though that the private market can supply, and if the private market is not doing it, the solution is not, oh, okay, well then we'll just waste our money with the government. What you should be saying is, well, why isn't the free market doing it? What's the problem with the thing? And let's fix the problem with the thing instead. And then they'll go for it. Right? So, I don't think that anybody in my neighborhood would get solar panels ever, but then because the government subsidizes it, they get it. But it's not really like, it's just really not that effective. This looks like I don't know. I think there's a lot going on underneath here. Now the E-mini on the open here is pretty ick. I think part of the problem here, though, is that the dollar hasn't really. It's been in this 90 area pretty much the whole time. Let me take that back. I mean, I guess we're up 5 cents, but from my read here, the dollar has not moved as strongly as you would expect. 6J says 6J is getting hammered. In fact, extending its losses here now. Yeah, you know what else is really frustrating is that this comes back to Donald Trump. I think, there are a lot of things where Donald Trump made mistakes and so on and so forth. But I really think that the biggest mistake that Donald Trump made was not pushing towards infrastructure. They always kind of talked about it. Oh, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then it never happened. And what he should have done. What he should have done is they passed the tax reform. That was something that they were able to get enough of a bipartisan consensus to do. And then they should have done infrastructure. And then if they had done infrastructure, maybe that would have, garnered some goodwill and so forth. Instead, what happened was he started getting attacked by all this stuff, Russia this and Russia that, and they were so worried about that. They were so worried about that nonsense that they didn't do infrastructure. It's really quite stupid. And then you come back in here with the Biden administration and they're just, it's just like such a waste of time. It's so frustrating. Looking for the lady in the red dress kind of a market. Well, so Aether, how long have you been trading for? Spending on infrastructure under Trump would need more constrained funding for COVID. A few years now? Okay. Because I was gonna say, I mean, What we're seeing right now is pretty typical for the last week of May. And I would say there seems to be something going on under the surface in the treasuries. So the treasuries here, it's been going across a 1, 2, 3, 6 to 8 tick range. Yeah, but typical isn't opportunistic. No. Yeah, well, I mean, depending on your strategy, but yeah. There's something going on in the treasury here, though. They've been going across this 6 tick range back and forth several times, and you don't normally do that. Like if they're really just stuck, if there's like no reason for them to trade, if they're not doing anything, they're just going to go at like 2 ticks and they're just going to stay there. And to dance around across this whole range back and forth the whole time is not what typically happens. I can never find it in myself to trust a range. No, I'm not in treasuries, really, right? This is where I'm like, if technical analysis really works, then prove it on treasuries. Because treasury is the most efficient instrument in the world. And as such, it does a lot of random shit. You wouldn't think that a really efficient market would be seemingly random. But I think the reality is that the more seemingly random it is to us, the actually more efficient it is. That means that any kind of like really consistent kind of behavior that people can really find has been arbitraged away. You can trust a range if your commission structure lets you trade within it. It's a tell issue, right, Etherator? Like the issue that I think Uzi, I totally understand the issue that Uzi is talking about, because if I say that it's a 6 tick range, okay, and I have my stop way up here, the chances of them going up and hitting it, you would think, aren't very high, but in reality, they'll just go and do it and stop you out and then come back down. And then you get this whole problem with like, oh, okay, so I can make 4 ticks off of it in here, but I'll lose X ticks if it goes up there, There's issues with it. Like, for starters, if you are going to trade the range in the treasury, you better be very accurate. So I'm getting away with it right now because I was able to work out a pretty accurate entry up in here. Okay, so the E-mini is deciding to extend a little bit. The volume in the E-mini, like the delta's not very strong though. What am I getting? I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I'm just talking for the sake of talking. Come on. Do I sound like I'm saying dumb? I feel weird. I don't come and say things and like, oh, that was a great point, Seth, and you're really doing a good job here teaching things and stuff. I'm kind of like, I feel grumpy about it. Now you ask if you sound weird. I guess we're talking about issues that aren't particularly relevant. And I think the reason why I feel this way is because I know that I'm just getting into too much into my personal opinion about things that I'm just frustrated about, but you can't do anything about, right? Like the situation right now, Joe Biden is president, the Senate is 50-50, Democrats have a majority in Congress. That might flip in the midterms. Maybe the next president will be a Republican. Kind of is starting to feel, though, like that Donald Trump is going to run again. They're all this whole thing about trying to prevent Donald Trump from running again, and they're doing all this other dumb stuff just because of that. And everybody is so worried about their own personal anxieties that they're not focusing on the things that are really, truly important, in my opinion. That's what I feel is going on. Do we not do that in trading sometimes? You're worried about your stop getting hit or whatever the thing is, and you're not looking at the thing that's actually going to move the market, that's actually going to determine where we go. You know, because let's admit here in the range in the ZN, I mean, you can come down and you can identify a range, but the reality is that some of this is just random. How this moves in the middle of a range in particular is very random. And while we're looking over here, there could be some headline that we miss, or one of these assets could be going. So one thing I should note, 6J extending its losses. The 6E not really moving as much, nor any of the other ones. So the thing that's moving the dollar right now is the 6J. The 6J is moving down, and I believe that should be that should continue to be good for us in the Treasury if the 6J continues to go down, but we should keep an eye on that one. Good fill. Cool. Gold tried to take off and then fell back down. Gold and silver didn't really move at all. Copper is moving up. There's no room to play due to previous few days tight ranges. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that the mini was able to get as far as it did, because it really looks to me like we're pegged. We're pegged at 4,200, where all of the options expire. Now, maybe the PCE price inflation number tomorrow messes that all up. Yeah. Also, you know what else? So we should come in here and look. So I was reading. I didn't get to read this story on Zero Hedge, but they were talking about a quant rebalancing. That the growth versus value quant funds will be rebalancing today. So do we see evidence of that? Octavia Z, why did you take the ZN short? Because I did. No, so I took the short because kind of a confluence of things, but the piece of news that has been moving the markets this morning is bearish for Treasuries, in my opinion. Right. Joe Biden wanting to continue to just spend like crazy and not have any kind of restraint whatsoever is bearish for Treasuries. So, ergo, the money flees to Japan Well, actually, it's not fleeing to Japan. It's fleeing from Japan, isn't it? But I also kind of knew from the way that, well, a lot of it was a guess, okay? So that's a big part of it, but so look here at the 6J, right? 6J was bearish yesterday. We come in, we had the news that it was bearish, right? It came down and we did this whole thing, but then, I thought they could move lower. I look at the dollar, say, well, the dollar hasn't seen any weakness. I think that the dollar could see some weakness because of this. Look at the E-mini. The E-mini is taking off, so there normally will be negative correlation between the E-mini and the Treasury. So there's that. Of course, now the E-mini has given up all of its gains since the open. That's funny. And then when I come back and I look at like a longer time frame on the Treasury, well, yeah, here you're getting the rollover, so it's not a very good chart. How should I do this for you? We're really, if we were to not show the rollover, or I did it adjusted, we would, we're somewhere up in here. So we're on the higher end of the range in the Treasuries anyways. So like we're on the higher end of the range and the news was bearish, so I favored shorts. Did you see over here? I mean, I don't want you to think that my trading was great in the Treasury today, right? So that one was just kind of off the news, and I guess it was maybe random. But then here I had 4 in a row that were losers. 4 in a row that were losers. But look, I was selling the whole time because my opinion was that they're going to move down. So, and I think that there's probably a lot more analysis on that I just make on the fly that I'm maybe not even conscious of. And there's some things about the way that the book behaves that I don't share with you guys. But I guess I'm going too far to say when my opinion is that Joe Biden's tax plan is negative for Treasuries. Really, I should just leave it at that, huh? Democrats start putting the GOP on notice as patience runs thin. Let's read this. My mouth is a little dry this morning, too. Democrats are warning Republicans that they won't keep waiting around for potential bipartisan deals as congressional leaders face growing pressure to go it alone on their agenda. Yeah, okay. Okay, Democrats. Democrats assessing their strategy as they head towards Memorial Day this summer are vowing to move forward after weeks of behind-the-scenes talks aimed at trying to find common ground with Republicans have led to mixed results. They're not. I mean, I don't really feel like that the discussions that they've been having with the Republicans to come down on a plan really are good faith. To be frank. I'll look at that come back out. Is the 6J moving? No, it is not. Curious. Well, I would sure love 21.5 now, huh? I don't know nearly enough about how treasuries work, something T-bills, notes, or bonds. Well, have you watched the CME's series, 4-part series about the treasury market? You'll learn a lot from that. So the thing that I don't think that we realize here's the thing that retail traders don't realize about the fixed income market. Okay. The thing that's unique about the fixed income market is that when we think about stocks, okay, stocks is like there's so many stocks and you can just pick which stock is moving and you can always trade one that's favorable to you. And there's this huge variety of stocks. And when you're coming over here into treasuries, you can trade the 10-year and the 30-year and okay. And that's not always favorable to you. Okay. Well, that's not really true. The reality of the fixed income markets is that there are so many fixed income products out there. There are so many fixed income products out there because like every city and every company has its own bonds that they're trading. And not only do they have their own bonds that they're trading, but they have like multiple issues. So like the number of fixed income products out there compared to like stocks, it's so much larger. It's so much larger of a body of work. Okay. But the difference is that the things that affect the bond market affects everything across the board very similarly. There's not a lot of differentiation between them, right? Like if interest rates are going up today, they're going to go up for everybody to some extent, right? Doesn't matter if it's an Amazon bond or if it's a municipal bond or if it's a 10-year treasury or whatever the deal is, right? And so the whole thing is about, okay, like the interest rate changed, like the one that we look at, the 10-year, okay, that changed. And then everybody else in the market has a conversion factor and a model about how they convert between what happened in the 10-year and how it should affect my instrument. Okay. So once you start to realize that, what we see here in the 10-year is maybe a little bit different, right? You realize that there is so much going on under the surface that we can't see. Like we are very uninformed in the treasury market, right? Because I could go and I could look at the cash treasuries. I could go and look at the repo market. There's the short-term instruments, like the bills, the T-bills and the tips and these sorts of things. And there's other kinds of instruments, like there's the inflation-adjusted bonds and, like there's so many different pieces of information that we could potentially be looking at to try and factor in what we're trading here in the treasury, right? Once you start to think about that, then all of a sudden I think that a lot of what the treasury tends to do makes a little bit more sense, right? Like it can't just move. It can't just move because there's this huge mass of stuff behind it, That's why it's like for it to range across this 6-tick range, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I've heard of the knob spread trade, but never looked further than that. Yeah. Well, the reason that you want to look at the spread is so hard, man. I often have a very hard time trying to sort out why the spreads are moving the way that they are. Okay, then there's a big offer just appeared at 42.05 in the mini. Oh, that is not the first time either, huh? It's this same spoof, isn't it? Anyways, so once you kind of start to understand all of those things, then the statistical properties of the treasury market make a lot of sense, right? It's very difficult for it to move, but when it does move, a lot of people get screwed over. So you get something with really fat tails. So the key to trading in the treasury markets is really understanding when there's a piece of news that will move the treasury markets and being able to jump on. Because when you get something that really truly moves the treasury markets, these ones that create the trend days in the treasuries, right? You just pick a price and sell it and it will just go all day. Or wait after it moves and trade the balance if you know where it's balanced at. So how many times have you taken it where you think that, oh, okay, this is where it's done, and then that's again where it's like I hate that kind of, because they always do this thing where it goes further than you think it should, and it's unpredictable. I find it best to trade it after it breaks out. I don't know if I agree. I think that the one that you want to do is like, you get a piece of news that's not like something that everybody's expecting, and you know it affects the treasury, and you take the trade in the treasury as she goes, and then you just sit in it. That's the easy trade, right? You get the piece of news and you just wait for the book to balance back out. And then when it balances back out, or at least it reaches its limit, then you can take it off. Well, when you say after it breaks out, like I'm thinking like, so like if we look at today, so here it was already heading down, and then around 6 o'clock was when we had the move from Biden, right? So I'm saying the best thing would be to be short from 131.27 even. Okay. And when you say after the breakout, that to me is like, oh, you should have gone short again somewhere in here, like at 250, right? But the issue with that one is you go short 250 and then it goes up to 2026, and depending on your stop, that makes you uncomfortable and you stop out, right? So then you come down here, or you miss all of that and then you get in here in this stuff and you get that and you get that and you get that, and this down here is a real mess. Even here now that they went lower, it's still being a mess. So I don't like trading that. That is the order book has reached its limit, and when it starts to do that, you start to see really bizarre stuff happen. Not right after it breaks out, but looking for some balance confirmation and trade it. I don't know. I like anything that requires me to look for some sort of a pattern is suboptimal. Anything that requires me to look at for a pattern is suboptimal, because every bit of testing that I do, particularly on the treasuries, suggests that those patterns aren't reliable, even when you're using order flow. Unless I really got something. I mean, like so today's news, I'd say is relatively impactful. Look at that. They're going to come up to the highs now. They're really that scared, huh? If today's piece of news was really that impactful, then it would be a different sort of a thing. Today, it's kind of like, well, that's definitely something that should move it, but I'm really unsure about how much it should move it, right? So here, I can't sit and wait for a balance on something. I mean, I'm totally shocked that they're back at 25. I'm absolutely shocked. Did you have that one? Who had that one on their bingo card? You can't predict it. The treasury, it's so effing random. To me, to us, there's a reason that it moves the way that it does, but we do not have the information to know. There's probably a really great reason why it just moved up there, but we do not have the information to know. Probably it's just safe haven seeking because the E-mini is moving down. That's the only correlation I'm seeing. I do see gold trying to dig its way out here again. I wonder, so we never looked over here. Who's doing well? Coin. Someone's down just a slight bit. GameStop down. Freeport McMoran, good. Yeah, Apple's okay. Okay, so some of the more risky names are up. The banks are up. Gotcha. And Bitcoin appears to have made another move back up. Yeah, just sitting nice and dandy at 4,000. Well, we lack correlations in treasuries? What do you mean by that? I mean, the thing that I was getting into before you got in here, Lucas, was I was explaining how the treasury market is so interconnected that there's so many instruments that are related to this treasury that all move together, because it's not just the 10-year treasury and the 30-year and the 5-year, but it's really the whole curve, and there's tips, and there's all these different types of bonds that the government issues, and there's the corporate bonds and the municipal bonds, and they're all kind of moving off of this treasury. And there's this whole thing about how to model what the treasury should be worth. It's a big thing. I'm kind of starting to move towards, and I don't know how I would do this because you probably need a ton of money to do it right, but I want to move towards, I buy a bond because it's mispriced and hold it for a month or something like that. Like OTC sort of stuff. Because that's what I was trying to get at the other day. There was this guy, and he had made money, and he says, oh, well, the thing was I just needed to find a market that was more suitable to me. But when I looked at it, I said, oh, the reason you're making money is because you're in a market that's really inefficient. You're in the OTC stocks market. Okay. So if I can trade parts of the market, like there could be parts of the treasury market that aren't very efficient that I, as a retail trader, could trade more effectively, but I would, if I'm only doing like one bond at a time, but I would probably need a big bankroll to do it, right? Right, but do we have access to these correlations? How do we gauge which ones are correlating most at the moment? Well, yes and no. So yeah, that's the problem. If I had a Bloomberg terminal, right, there's just too much. There's a bunch of information that I know it's there, but I don't have access to it on my fingertips for sure. But I don't think that that's why it's random. I think the reason it seems random is because it's an efficient market. Subscribe to Patreon to support a Bloomberg. Yeah, totally. Well, there's different steps. I wish I could say, if we get enough viewers and everything that we get a Bloomberg terminal, but that's like $60,000 a year. Okay. Probably not happening. How much would we have to, how much does that come out to a month? What's 60 divided by 12 is 5, right? Yeah. So $5,000 a month, we would basically need, oh man. we would basically need to be like 100,000 subscriber channel. Your trade on ZN is good as obviously you do well this market. I don't know about that, Macy. So here's the thing that you might not see. I'm being way too hard on myself today. Here's the thing that you might not see here in the Treasury, right? First of all, you might have caught that I lost it a bunch of different times. So what did I do? I decided to market make it. I said, I'm going to take a bunch of contracts over here. I'm going to give myself a really wide stop, and then I'm going to take some contracts down in here. So I didn't really necessarily know that it was going to come down. I was actually a really pleasant surprise for it to come down to 22, 21.5. And that's also why I'm so surprised that it flipped all the way back up. I'm kind of thinking about trying to market make it out again here a little bit, but I'll wait. So really I was taking advantage of skewed risk reward, right? The market was being somewhat constrained and rangy anyways, so I gave myself a really huge stop and took some profits in there. So then you can see all of these profits banked into it. Once you've banked in all of the profits at the beginning, now all of a sudden your risk reward is different, right? You're taking on a lot of risk at the very beginning so that later on you're not taking on any risk at all. It's kind of cheating, right? Because if I were to have done that and something happened that pushed the market really, against me really quickly, like news had hit, then I would have been so screwed and I would not look so smart, right? And the whole thing is that when you say that, we say, Seth, it was a very good trade. You knew that the market was going to go down. Well, I did have reasons that I thought it was going to go down. I don't think that was all that complicated, though. But the reality is that the way that I did the trade was because I really have no clue what it's going to do, right? Being able to pinpoint a spot that it's going to stop and turn around and everything, it's really hard. The only time that I can do that is if I detect some sort of mispricing, which I haven't really been seeing today. Not since when I took all those ones that didn't work, I thought that I was seeing a mispricing. Since that happened, they've actually kind of been in lockstep. But does that make sense? Like I can come in and I can tell you, news moves markets. Correlations move markets, like what things are worth moves markets. All this other stuff that people talk about, maybe it's a real thing, but I don't have anything like that. Every little thing that I think I have like that, it turns out to not work. Knowledge is just understanding we're swinging the firm that's we're desperately lacking in the liner. Yeah, that's where I keep saying, I made a TikTok about this. I was really mad because I was getting like 1,000 views on my TikToks, and then I made these 2 yesterday and they didn't do very well at all. It was like all of a sudden the TikTok algorithm said, okay, Seth, you've had enough. Even though people were like subscribing and everything. Anyways, it must have been because they were about trading the news. So I guess I need to go and get more into that. Okay, I will. Note to Seth, focus more on the news in your TikToks and on YouTube probably. At some point in YouTube, we need to get more into analyzing the news and what's happening. I guess I haven't done that as much because when we made the video about like how will the election affect things, that didn't really get a lot of traction, but I could probably need to be more clickbaity about it. Anyways, the more I learn, the less you know. It's like, you know what I mean? Because a lot of what you learn in the markets is just like, oh, this thing that you think works, it doesn't actually work, So the library of things that maybe are potentially worth trading on just grows smaller and smaller and smaller the more that you know, until you're just left with correlations and news. Like that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's not true. There's definitely things in the book that I trade off of. Notice that the newsworthy for TikTok. Yeah. Lucas says that's actually good. Good that I'm coming to that point, or I mean, I don't think that it's actually good. I think that what would be actually good is you research and you find this pattern that just works every time and you just trade that. My wife is yelling at the kids because they need to come down and get going soon. You could trade everything. It's just that everything may not be profitable to trade. There you go. Considering making money is one part, avoiding losses is the other one. As long as you keep weeding out bad habits and information, you will increase your chances of keeping what you make. Yeah, for sure. For sure. One of the problems that I have, I think, is that I could sit here and literally only make trades when there's news. Yeah? I should only take swing trades when there's news, which would be difficult for me to do. I don't know. But over here in the E-mini, I can scalp news. I've been pretty good with those in the E-mini. I get some pretty good runners, and I'm getting to the point where I have a pretty good idea of where it's kind of like starting to have problems and sorts of things that I need to watch for to get me out and everything else like that, right? I could do that, but I think that you would have also some very difficult consistency problems. You know what I mean? Like, you could go weeks without taking a trade. Hold on, I need to clean my nose. Etherator says, yeah, but trading news is just trading when volatility crops up. Well, I don't necessarily care about the volatility. In fact, I think that I would prefer that there's not the volatility, right? What I care about is that I have a piece of information that gives me a good chance of predicting which direction the market is going to go, and a situation where I know about the piece of information before the wider market does. Because even though the markets do have these knee-jerk reactions and stuff, there's so much more money that potentially has to move off of something that the market just can't price it in quickly enough. The limit order book is not capable of pricing it in quickly enough, right? So that's why news works as well for me, I think. I mean, there are some situations where, for sure, in the Treasuries, I can just kind of take one tickers over and over again, but yes. Oh, so you want news that induces a repricing event? Exactly. I've been messing with tiny debt spreads. Where are you? You're not talking about CFDs, are you? Where are you looking at that information, Kyle? My nose is so dry. Oh, you're talking about options on futures. I thought you were talking about. See, I'm interested here where we get back to. I am really interested in inefficient markets. Inefficient markets. But I would say more than that. I want an inefficient market, but a stable market. You get what I mean? So like, what would be an inefficient market? Bitcoin's a really inefficient market from what I can tell. But I probably couldn't do it there because there's not a whole lot of agreement in the Bitcoin market about what actually moves it, you know, and you can have really strong moves against you. So the kind of arbitrage, because that's basically the gist of it is I want to do more arbitrage. I want more of my trading to be based on arbitrage. That's what I'm trying to do here in the Treasuries. I mean, I gave up on it today and took a swing because I felt confident that it was going to move down. But I'm still looking at it from the perspective of, okay, these two are down. This should come down because this is down and this is down, right? Like that 24. Well, how about we do it? This is likely to tick down. But they've been acting pretty shaky around here, so that might not happen. But that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for is I believe there's a mispricing, right? So to me, if this trade worked out and I got the 23.5, that to me would be like a one tick arbitrage, okay? Or even better yet, I can buy it in one place and sell it in one place. You're not gonna find that in the Treasury, so. But you get what I'm saying? So to do that kind of an arbitrage, then I need to find a market that's not very efficient. Okay. But Bitcoin wouldn't be suitable because you're trying to do an arbitrage for a teeny tiny little amount. And then all of a sudden some big whale comes and moves it a certain direction and you're screwed. So now Bitcoin, it makes more sense to try and, if you want to trade to just try and play the big swings, right? Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Lucas says too many professionals and competition is too high in Treasuries to look for inefficiencies. Probably spreaders take most of the arbitrage edge there. So yes and no. So certainly in the future market in and of itself, and this deal here with the spread, you're hardly ever going to see it be more than a tick unless there's news going on. So there are definitely situations when there is news where things will get a little bit off kilter. And so you can come in and you can say, okay, well, I know that the news is bearish, but then when do I take the trade that I do? I take it because there appears to be a mispricing relative to the other instruments. Okay. So there are opportunities on that one, but there's also this whole other market that we can't see, right? So for instance, basis trading. So you can come in and you can say that the difference between the 10-year Treasury and the repo market Treasury has changed. The basis has changed, and I believe that the basis is going to come back to its historical average. There's a mean reversion trade that you can do there. So if you watched the 4-part series in the CME, he kind of refers to that sort of a thing. So the first thing that I realized when I got that was that the main audience for this is not retail day traders. He was not doing this for retail day traders. Like a lot of the stuff that he was talking about were things that you weren't going to see unless you had a Bloomberg terminal. But what if you did have a Bloomberg terminal? What if you did have a Bloomberg terminal? There are going to be a lot of teeny tiny little inefficiencies there that, hey, if you were only trading one bond, probably you could take and win like almost every time. You know what I mean? Because the institution straight up can't trade that sort of a thing. You know, like the inefficiency might not be worth it to them or whatever the deal is, you know. But if you're small, you might be able to get away with it. You know what I mean? So you might be able to do it in Treasuries. I think it's possible. But probably you're better off just looking for the right market. So that's where I start to think, okay, like how effectively can we actually price these kinds of instruments? Could there be opportunities in the OTC market? Right? So if we did it in the OTC market where it's really not very efficient, and we just did the arbitrage, and you were doing the small, you see what I mean? So now you're taking all of these little things and you're getting yourself into a place where you can have a significant amount of edge, right? But it seems like the way that you've got to do it is you've got to be doing something really sophisticated and be looking for something very, very small that the big guys aren't interested in. Oh, I didn't get filled. That's sad. Imagine if you took a long trade at a certain price and then the ES goes 5 handles below, you lose 5, but tomorrow it closes at least 5 handles above your profit 25. That's what I'm testing lately. Yeah, if you can get your... Vlad says that's gambling. Wow. That's again where I'm like, yeah, but if you have a piece of news, so I think that if you had access to the data, that you could probably get away with that sort of thing in the options too. So I could come in and could say there's a news event, and so I want to buy certain options. And if I'm able to do it with like a real DOM and do, use market orders and stuff like that, then probably I could make money off of those too. But I would have to have the ability to look at the options book like this, which to my knowledge doesn't exist. But that's why you still see significant numbers of, that's why there's still like the euro dollar options pit, for instance. If I had left this down here, I wouldn't have gotten filled either, so I shouldn't feel too bad about it. If you can hold the drawdown, why not? So how is it that if you lose 5 ticks, you lose 5, but if you gain 5, you gain 25? What options are you buying to make that happen? But what if you are wrong about the news direction? Then you're wrong. So in this instance, this is where I think that you want to have your risk rewards set up properly. Yeah. So when I talk about, okay, I want to trade off of news and I want to do it with a swing, but you got to be careful about trying too much for a swing, because what happens is when you're wrong, you lose too much, versus I would rather be like wrong a little bit, and then finally catch the right direction. And the direction that I catch it, it goes so far that it's, 100 to 1 risk reward or whatever the deal is. So when I do a trade like that, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is like, I'm going to take a teeny tiny little bit of risk on one side, but I'm going to let it really run on the other side if it goes. Okay. So then just off of that alone, because here you're setting yourself up, you're talking about a situation where the S&P 500 could move 10 to 50 points in a day, right? Probably more than that these days, okay? So if I'm coming in and I'm only risking 2 points, and I could potentially make 10 or more points, right? So already I have a 5 to 1, even a 10 to 1 risk reward, right? Now, when you do that, naturally by chance, okay, if I have 5 to 1, like, I'm going to win less than 15% of the time, something like that, right? Just from randomness. I only lose 50% of the time just from randomness, right? But if I'm really good at reading the news, okay, and I'm able to get my win rate on that trade to 45 to 50%, right? You're making bank. You're making real bank doing that, right? And that's where I've been successful. So, yeah, I think that that's the one trade that I think I'm good at. The issue is all the other times. I think that you have to have something else to live off of, right? I think that you also have to have some edges that are kind of more based on uninformed trading. So when I go and I try and do time series based edges, well, I found some that seem to be okay right now. Yeah, it looks like Jay hasn't taken any more today. He only just took that one loser. Just a little. I feel like it's a little unusual, but it's not, because I really tightened up his threshold, right? Risks are limited because it's a debt spread. Okay, I guess I have to look at it more. Anyways, when I look at for like time series based patterns and stuff like that, it seems to me that that's not fertile ground to look. And it may be fertile ground because there's just no reason why that should work. You know, that you're just going to get random. So then I go back to, okay, what are things that I know work? So what do I know works? Know what it's worth, and then find a mispricing there. So we need to find better ways to do that. So here in the Treasuries, it's kind of a question of like, okay, what are all of the correlations and what are the things that I should be seeing, that I should be paying attention to in here for it? Yeah, you show me on Discord, because where does the credit bit come? Because you were saying it's options, but where does the credit spread part come from? Anyways, so that's my big spill on the sorts of things that I'm looking for right now. I don't know. So I've had a difficult time in the Treasuries this week, but it is rollover. So we'll see next week, and we'll see particularly in the summer if I can work it out in the summer. Like if I can continue to do it and I continue to have success with it like I had last week through the summer, then maybe that would be enough. Maybe that would be enough. Now we got some news coming through here. Pending home sales. Oh no, it's natural gas. Okay, I get you. Oh, so was the move up that I missed, was that the pending home sales? Yeah, negative 4.4%, 51. Okay. Yeah. So I can see why it moved up, but I can also see why it may not matter in the end. So I think I'm okay. I did try taking the one at 25, right? Would have been great. So I don't know. I'm too I try and be too nuanced about these things. I should just be like, yep, I'm totally awesome. I totally knew exactly what was going to happen, and I just didn't tell you guys because, don't want you to know how it works. But I'm definitely the smartest person ever. Right? Maybe I would get more viewers if I did that. It does. I tell you what, man. It's these people that just completely BS you that get all of the views. Especially in the cryptocurrency space. Oh my gosh. It's the same thing. The guys that are just completely full of bullshit get all of the views. And there are other guys that kind of have a more nuanced view but are maybe just ignorant, you know? Because, I mean, it's everybody in the cryptocurrency space has got issues, right? It's a very immature market, right? But they don't get nearly as much attention. They don't get nearly as much attention. Look at the 30 years all the way down on its lows now. So they're trying to steepen. Market here says 10-year time to bounce. Yeah. Yesterday, YouTube recommended to me a video on definitive proof of crypto manipulation, and you got 80K views. Yeah. Well, did you see the video that I made on that? Yeah, I put that one here on YouTube too. Yeah. Because I saw that whole trend and I was like, this is so stupid. I tell you what, it's going to be very interesting to see what Bitcoin does over the next month. So a bunch of people are saying, well, like options expire this week, so they're going to want to hold it up here for the options, and then after that, the whales are going to want to bail. But it's so weird because this is not the same as other cycles. Maybe it's just because I'm getting more information as previous cycles because the social media ecosystem is more complex. But I see a lot of people that think it's over and a lot of people that are like, this is great, buy the dip. And I'm just kind of looking at this like, well, how do they get it to go higher? Like, what it was already at a fever pitch. And then somebody was saying like, oh, this isn't there's not enough hype yet for it to be a top. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you looked at Dodge? Have you seen the Dogecoin? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I can't, in that kind of, I can like tell you what I think it's worth, but that doesn't mean that the market is going to go there, Like, I think that it is a very good metric, and it definitely does seem to describe a lot of Bitcoin's movement over larger periods of time, but it just can't predict what speculation is going to do, right? Speculation is a beast that I don't really feel like you can predict very well. Only in certain situations. Aha, good down tick. 30-year pushing down more. New low. It was only 50 contracts into 31. Okay, there now they cleared it now. Now we're really definitely at new lows. Anybody at 30? too many jobless folks out there. Or maybe a good reason to explain why Bitcoin has done what it has. But, so there was a conversation on this on Reddit the other day. So there was a statistic that more Black Americans have started investing over this past year than like at any other time ever. And some people were like, oh, it's amazing what Axis will do and things like that. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, so like nobody was preventing you from getting a brokerage account before. No, I don't think that's it. I think that more Black Americans have started investing because more Americans have started investing than ever before. And in particular, more millennials have started investing at any time before. And why is it that now, after 10, 15 years, because we've had a great bull market for the past 10, 15 years. Well, it's been like 13 years now, right? Why now? Why now? Well, I think it's just their attention. I think that when, Robinhood certainly helps. And then it's like the algorithms kind of picked up on it early, mid 2019, they started to pick up on it. That ecosystem became developed. That's what I think is doing it. I think that people just weren't paying attention to that sorts of thing. And now it's shoved in their face all the time. So it's on their mind. So they do it. Yeah. So now being jobless and feeling like you have the time to study the markets and the extra money to day trade, that's another part of it too. But all of these people, they're just doing a bunch of random nonsense that is just essentially noise, right? And the cryptocurrency market in particular, just like this manipulation thing, it's like there is manipulation out there, but I think at this point, the bigger inefficiency is that cryptocurrency folks, as a result of that, are very prone to just believe any kind of conspiracy theory and just complete bullcrap. Because the whole idea that you're going to crash price 50% so that you can buy more is, I don't think passes the smell test. From what I know about market microstructure. So you would spend so much money making that happen. I don't think it would be worth it. I mean, maybe if you knew all of the stops down there and everything, and that could really make it go. But even then, how are you going to be absorbing at the lows? And you're going to have impact, so like they pushed it down, they started buying at the lows, they had impact, they pushed it back up to 50%, right? So basically price is at the same place that it was, and they spent all that money acquiring a position that they could have just acquired it for. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that actually works the way that they think it does. So I think that this story is probably bullshit. But they're all trading off of it. And they're even trading the levels off of it. WineTube asks, what happened to the bonds? I don't know. Well, so there's a couple of things going on, WineTube, that I can tell you about that you may not have considered though, okay? So first thing is that early this morning, Joe Biden announced that he has a $6 trillion federal budget that he wants to present. Okay. Now that appears to have had a significant impact on the market. Whether it should is up to question, because I don't think that he will pass it, but it did have a short-term impact on the market, and the treasuries were selling. It looks like the market kind of knew that it was going to come out and that they were selling before it. That's my theory, at least. Can't prove that, but that's one theory, okay? So that's the first thing, okay? The second thing that's going on is the roll, okay? So today, basically, everybody's rolled over now in the bonds. So you're going to see a lot of bizarre things because of the rollover, okay? So that's the next thing. Now, beyond that, By the way, we'll just put that down there because I don't know if I actually want to take it at 21.5 or not if it gets there. Okay, the next thing that you might not realize that is going on is that there is a strong demand for treasuries in the repo market right now. So there is a lot of market activity going on under the surface that we may not realize, especially may be difficult to realize because the S&P 500 has become constrained. They're pinned to 4,200 for sure. There's a lot of gamma on, but it's not leading to these gamma melt-ups, gamma push-downs like they were before. It's just converging on a price. And the VIX is declining. But at the same time that that's happening, people are making all of these moves before the summer, and there's like quant rebalancing and things like that. So when you look at the repo market, the demand in the repos for the Federal Reserve standing facility that they've got for repos and everything, demand has been like crazy high. And I would argue that it's probably because they need the treasuries, they need the collateral to conduct all of the business for all of the clients that they've got going on. And there's just a lot of business, and the financial requirements about what they need to have to do that business are a little bit high, and the regulatory structure hasn't caught up to that yet. Okay. So you've kind of got that thing going on in the treasuries. Now, once that dies out, okay, so if I'm correct and this activity dies down and the amount that you see done in the repos declines next week, then I think that you will probably see the treasuries decline as well. Right? So don't share that with everybody. But that's my theory. Okay. So that's the next piece. The third piece. So that was two, right? The next piece that you got going on right now is that tomorrow there's the PCE price inflation, which we have learned from Fed speakers in the past, is actually looked at more closely by the Federal Reserve than the headline prices that they're supposed to care about. So like CPI and PPI, they definitely care about because those are kind of like their benchmarks. But the PCE is the one that they look at because it tells them more. Okay. That's tomorrow. So there's also that going on. Fourth thing. There's something going on in the dollar. So the dollar was falling really, really hard, and it was causing yuan depreciation. And so the Chinese banks stepped in and started selling their yuan and buying dollars and brought the dollar back up to this 90 level. So the dollar is kind of on the precipice of this huge support zone that if they drop through, you could really see another significant swath of dollar depreciation, and that's going to affect the treasuries as well. So today, not really seeing the dollar move a ton, but, they are below the 90 at this moment. And you saw the Japanese yen, when we had this strong move down in the treasuries, the Japanese yen was moving down too. Okay. And then the fifth thing that's going on is housing. So there has been really strong demand for housing, but a combination of rising interest rates and prices just getting too hot because so many people are trying to buy really, really hampered housing sales in the last month. And so these numbers, even though they were all looking for positive numbers, they've all come in negative. And at 8 o'clock, we had that news as well. Okay. So those are all of the factors that I'm kind of looking at in the treasury market right now. And my net assessment is that it is tilted to the downside. But with the summer coming in and everything else like that, you kind of get this like random difficult action. So from all of those, I'm not exactly sure what specific move you were looking at that's like what happened to bonds, but that's what's happening in bonds, and you should be able to figure out from there why you think it did what it did. The yen is where the international corporations park their dollars with the carry trade in FX. That, yes. But normally it's, the 6J is, goes the same with. So what I don't understand is why Joe Biden's budget results in the Japanese yen going down. Because that should make the US currency worth less. So I think that there's something else going on there with the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen may just be moving down on its own for other reasons or something specific to Japan for all I know. Bruce Cambridge is being retreated by the street, saying shares of Snowflake could be bought on near-term weakness. Probably that whole space could be if there are individual companies that you really believe in. Because the whole not profitable yet company space has gotten hammered. And it as it should be, but there are companies within there that shouldn't be, that are going to be solid companies someday. Check it against the Australian dollar as they are used to get dollars in and out of the Orient. Oh, really? I mean, not like, oh, really? Like, oh, that makes complete sense. I'm not 100% sure how I could look at that because the Australian dollar is factored into the calculation, right? Is it? Hold on. Let me look here. Oh, it is not. Canadian dollar is. $6A. It is a thing. It has, in fact, been moving up. Yeah. Only since the top of the hour. Curiously enough. It was really more here when the Japanese yen was moving down. So they were moving down together, I guess. There was some dollar strengthening, but then Frontier, hey, how are you? It was kind of weird because the dollar, there was a lot of movement in currencies, but it didn't like all coincide with each other. It was a little weird. So, okay. I just heard something on the squawk, but I didn't catch what it was. It didn't seem like, I think he was just saying Kansas Fed Manufacturing Index at the top of the hour. The E-mini is reacting negatively here. Why is my... Why did it rally? I think it was because of Biden's budget announcement. So I don't know why the S&P 500 just did that I'm not actually hearing anything on the Squawk or seeing any news about it. Who farted? Oh, shit. Okay. Jeez. Oh, man. How do I explain this? Okay. Joe Biden's budget assumes that the capital gains increase starts from April. This tax change that they want to make, that is, that they increase the capital gains tax that the market doesn't like, they're saying it starts in April. That's why the market just sold off there. Probably why the market just sold off there. I'm going to move that up there. Okay, cool. Out. Because I got to get going here soon. So. I'm still really mad about how that worked out with these ones. I don't know what to do about that situation. Like, none of those had any favorable ticks. They're all bad. But then I did get this one and I got a 7-tick winner. So, hey. Does that redeem myself? And in my eyes, it doesn't, but it maybe makes me look like not a complete retard. No, not retard. Retard is the wrong answer. That I make it back, maybe I'm not a complete dunce. Doesn't mean that you should trade it that way. A winner is a winner. Oh, it's not. It's not either. Just remember that this has been the theme for me this month. I haven't been talking about it as much on stream as I have been in comments, but okay, net profit and loss is not truth. Net profit and loss is a stochastic variable that will change as your data set changes. You're going to take another trade and your profit and loss could change. And you could have a strategy where you did something dumb and you got lucky and you can make money. And people say, well, yeah, but you made money. And it's like, yeah, but that's not truth per se in terms of how good your strategy or how good your trading is, because you're going to keep trading it. And you could do that again and it not work out, right? So really, we need to have a nuanced view of our trading, and we need to apply more strict standards. The reality is that there's a lot of retail traders out there that think they're really great traders when in reality they're not, and they just lack the sophisticated enough analysis to realize the mistakes they're making. Whereas Seth has somewhat more sophisticated analysis to see where his mistakes are, but he continues to make them. Yeah. Until it's in the bank account. Well, that's what we're getting. Like, you just go out there and take a trade. Look for one tick, take 4 ticks of risk on the 10-year, and use some things like the spread and so on and so forth to your advantage. You probably make money. In fact, you'd probably make a couple thousands of dollars, especially if you start sizing it up. Or even better yet, doing the E-mini, because the E-mini is a little bit more random. Yeah, you could make money. And you could probably pull money out of the market. But you keep doing it, you will blow your account. You will. Right? So, what do you want? Are you okay with like pulling a couple $1,000s of money out of the market and then completely blowing it all up at one point? You know, like, why not then? Why not? I might be okay doing that, especially if it was like a combine account or something like that. I haven't found something on the combines that I'm quite confident enough yet. I should say here on my J trade, and I'm a little mad that he only took one trade today, so maybe I need to change it back to not being so stingy, because he definitely should have taken one there on that short. Yeah. Did he only take one? Where is the freaking control center? He only took one. Well, I'm going to turn him off for today because I'm going to do more work on him. I'm going to change it back to 0.2. I'm going to go in back to, because he was supposed to be like the skewed risk reward. He's supposed to be doing that. And enough to where I'm confident that I'll get away with it. But I'm doing it like he should be able to make the money on the equal risk reward, but then you add the risk on top of it and you do it on combine. That's what I want to do. So it'll be fun. Okay, guys. I don't know. I do feel good about today's stream now in the end, though. I don't know. I felt like we shared some good information, yeah? Probably too much information. But you guys are all people that I'm okay with having that information. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Should be a big day tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.